Hour. Hi there.
Good morning.
Good morning. So you're all on mute right now, and the reason that we want to let you know, you can definitely unmute yourselves to say hi, but we have you on mute so that you don't become unintentional stars in the video. Just any sound that you make, it makes you come up and kind of like just pop in, like looking around, and it gets a little strange for you. Okay, so you don't want to unintentionally see things. Chong, that is an amazing background. You've got the green screen going, right? That's nice. That's very nice. Okay. So we're going to get started in just about 1 minute. We're going to give people, because, you know, it is the morning, so we're going to give people a second to get in here. But in the meantime, I think Nick would really appreciate it. We would appreciate it if you could type in the chat box, located on the right-hand side most likely. If you could type in the chat box your name, and Nick's going to put the instructions in there for you, but your name, your college, your email address, which is very important, so that we can communicate with you, and your role on campus if possible. And those things are going to help us, because it's a sign-in sheet that helps us to, you know, of course, you know, with our getting our funding, we work with the chancellor's office. So as somebody else joked the other day, it shows that we're doing our job. So we really appreciate that. Plus, like, even better, like, we're going to be able to send you information and communicate with you as we move forward. So we want to be able to share materials and resources with you and share the video with you, because there may be things in here that you may want to look at again. I know I always ask questions afterwards, so we want to make sure that you have that opportunity. Okay. But we are super thrilled to see you this morning. I'm going to go ahead and put the PowerPoint up right now. And then this is just really, this is more of a conversation, a discussion, and a quiet discussion, let's say, in your chat box. Okay, but we're going to talk about discussions, and we can't really talk about discussions without doing discussion. But we're going to see like some different ways that you might be able to invite some students into the conversation who may not have ordinarily been doing that. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions, you know, as we move forward as well. And then my colleague Kimberly Rosenfeld is here, and this wonderful woman is going to show you some other discussion things. And then we're going to have a deeper, because discussion is a hard thing to do, and it's already, as we know, it's like sometimes it feels like pulling teeth to get people to participate in discussion in class. And so then when we think about online, how do we keep those conversations going in a very natural way? And so that's basically what we're here to continue to discuss. So Kimberly and I have been very meta in discussing discussion, right? And thinking about that. So I just wanted to quickly introduce and have you introduce yourselves. My name is Keelan Koning. I'm the communications coordinator for 3CSN, which is the California Community Colleges Success Network. We have been around for 12 years. We are the professional learning arm for the chancellor's office, and we are committed and dedicated folks who are all practitioners. Everyone who is part of 3CSN is also working in the field. So this is a series that we put together as what we kind of think of as being first responders to this academic pivot that we're making right now. And so the series is put on by practitioners for practitioners, and we say that we do not have all the answers, but we are here together, and some of you may have the answers. So as we move forward, if you know the answer to something, then please put that in the chat box. We would really appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ask Kimberly to introduce herself, and then Nick, and then my student Joshua is here, who has been conversing online for some time and knows all about it. Okay.
Okay, I'll make this brief. Hello, my name is Kimberly Rosenfeld. I teach full-time at Cerritos College in the Communication Studies Department. And I have been involved with 3CSN more as a participant and now kind of stepping into the role of helping to facilitate this discussion. So I'm really excited about that. And I hope that we can together kind of co-create knowledge around what it means to use discussions effectively and meaningfully in our classes. I have a little experience with it. I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I'm happy to share what I know and what I've done, my successes as well as my challenges. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nicole Bryant Lesher, or Nick, and I am English faculty at College of the Redwoods and Keelan and Kimberly's colleague. I'm a coordinator with 3CSN, and today I am your behind-the-scenes co-pilot, so I will be managing the chat, continuing to connect you with resources, answer your questions in the moment when they are technologically oriented, and noting your questions as they come up for you in terms of the learning that Keelan is doing and showing, and Keelan, Kimberly, and Joshua participating in, so that later in the session we can get to those questions and address them at that time. Just as a quick note, and this is loaded in the chat, I'm going to put it in there again. Just a quick note that this session is being recorded. Right, and that helps us to be able to make sure that we can share it with you later, and it also helps us to gain that transcript from the chat so that we can stay in real time supporting you, learning more about what you need, and then using that data and that information to help to continue to serve you in the weeks to come. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. And Joshua?
Yeah, hi, my name is Joshua, and I'm a former student of Keelan's class. I'm just here as an example of a student point of view and to help you, give you perspective from a student's mind on how discussions work and help us.
I'm so happy you're here. Oh my God. Okay. And Christine, I see you. Hello. If you all look behind Christine, these bookshelves are just like, they are life to me. I need to actually, thank you. Christine, if you could come to all the sessions just so I could feel the calming nature of your bookshelves, that would be great. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just put up really quickly, some of you, such as, some familiar faces in here. So you have already heard some of these things. Can you see my screen? Not yet?
Yes, we can see it, Keelan. Thanks.
Oh, which one? Okay.
Oh, well, now we can see your face, but a moment ago we could.
Here we go. Okay, thank you. Okay. Oh my gosh, Nick. Yes. It doesn't say full Redwoods. I'm having some computer issues. It's Red Whoa.
Red Whoa. That's how we roll up here. That's how we roll up here in the far north.
All right, so we'll imagine that it says Redwoods, but it says Red Whoa. I've been having some computer issues this morning.
I like Red Whoa. I can
probably happen to you as well. So just to start, as Kimberly said, this is about being together, thinking about supporting the students. How do we do that the best? That's where we're coming from, right? Is thinking about, and I have been telling my students all week long, I have been telling them about how there are faculty. I'm like, you should all come to the sessions because the faculty are here, the staff are here, the administrators are here, everyone is here for you. We are all trying to do this pivot for you. This is a big pivot for all of us to make, and it is absolutely amazing. And I'm just humbled and amazed by it. And I have had some students who have come in, and and their comments, because on Monday when we did another session, a couple of other students, Joshua was in class, and a couple of other students were here, and they said, wow, it's really amazing how I didn't realize how much they were trying to do for us. So they are grateful too, which is wonderful. And I think they should all come and see us all engaging in the productive struggle together as they also learn how to do this stuff. But again, productive struggle, we can do amazing things when we work from a learner-centered mindset and community with one another. And that's a really important thing, because as we think about being learners, sometimes our educator identity is challenged a little bit. And so it's kind of like, how do we recenter ourselves as learners? And perhaps, as I don't know if anyone's ever read Claudia Rankine, this amazing poet, but Claudia Rankine talks about the space between like the conversation that happens and the beauty. Yes, Joshua, I know you do not like that book. But the disruption that happens and the new things that come out of the text and the image. And I think about that when we're thinking about the kind of disruptions that happen and how sometimes those can make beautiful things happen for us as we are a little bit vulnerable and we rethink how we're doing things. So hopefully this session on discussions will help a little bit to think about maybe some ways to make, if you haven't done this before, to make your courses a more democratic space for students and more equitable space for students as you imagine some of your students that don't talk much in the class or who may not be able to articulate themselves very well. I have a student who's an ELL student, English language learner, and he struggles a lot talking in class, but when he's writing, it's a different situation. And so we want to think about ways that discussion online can actually be a benefit to the students. So you can see our objectives here. I have them up. I'm not going to read them to you, but they will be on the recording. And then we have a theory of change. This is something that the 3CSN has been created, and it's pretty phenomenal. And a kind of different approach. I don't want to use the word novel because that's been associated now with coronavirus for some reason. I don't even know how that can be a novelty, but let's not talk about that right now. But if we provide training on networking, so we're leveraging our communities, right? And we use action research methodologies. So, using this, this research methodology as well. So we are really big on research as well, right? Community college professionals will transform their environments and identities to create communities of practice that will produce powerful learning and working across campuses. This will lead to greater student success. And as Kimberly has said, she's part of our Basilia, our Leadership Institute. And this work where we work across campuses and work together and see the community that happens is really amazing. So that is us. And then we just quickly want to say, we have some community agreements, which is something that's helpful for you for your classes. Yesterday, I had a bunch of students that we're trying to figure this out, and I'm like, okay, well, we probably should have some agreements still. We've got to kind of revisit these agreements and think about them again, because even if you had community agreements with your students, online community agreements are going to look a little different. Okay, so when you return to your classes, which most of you are going to be doing next week, we just went back yesterday or day before yesterday. But we say raise hands digitally or in chat to signal a question. So you can do that, or you can just, right now we're saying type the question, and then Nick will curate those and ask as appropriate so that we can keep the flow. Assume best intentions with large group online dialogue. So as we all know, we've all gotten that text message that didn't mean the thing we thought it did, right? It looked real abrupt because it's a text message. So we want to kind of assume the good intentions. We know we're all here to learn. Annotate or describe your actions for those with limited viewing ability or audio only options. So I'm really going to work on making sure that I'm kind of telling you what I'm doing. And if I don't, then please speak up, and Nick will that means type, and then type it into the chat, and then Nick or Kimberly will pick that up and we'll make sure that we handle that for you. We're all learners. We're all doing our best. We're not perfect. It's okay not to be perfect. It's actually probably preferable, because that makes those moments that build community with your students. So the time when it's like, oh man, we were trying to do this thing and it didn't work, and you kind of laugh at yourself a little bit, that's really valuable. And that's where you can be humble, and your students can teach you things and help you with things and all of that. Okay, it's okay to ask clarifying questions. So please make sure that you do that. Keep things simple for yourself and your students. Don't overcomplicate things. So there may be things that you look at now and you're like, this thing is so awesome. I want to do all these things. And we know, I don't know if any of you have done reading apprenticeship, but I got really excited. I was like, I want to change my entire class. That's not probably the best idea. So how do you keep things simple so that, you know, you can build from here. But at first, you know, probably pretty simple, and be kind to yourselves, you know, ourselves and our students. And we're adding to this list on Padlet as dues for online communication that you could use when working with students. So if you have anything else you want to add to the agreements, that would be lovely. So please make sure that you type those in the chat and we will add them. So that's great.
Can
Yeah,
I pause you for just
definitely.
1 second? I just want to do a check-in with folks to make sure that they're feeling like they have what they need in terms of understanding how to raise their hand, right?
Okay,
that can be a bit of a challenging
wonderful
technological step up.
Yeah.
So for those who are wondering how to raise your hand and what that might mean, if you look on the right hand, typically living on the right hand side, if you hover around on Zoom, look up towards the top or towards the bottom of the screen, you're going to see the chat function.
Under participants, Cynthia. Do you see it under participants?
Yep.
Okay. Well, here's the thing about keeping things simple. Go like this right now. Just go like this, and then you're going to come to our Zoom session and we will be good. Okay. Got it? All right, cool. All right. So guide, connect, 3 goals, guide, connect, and observe and evaluate student learning. Okay. So, okay, we have 2 participants who raise their hands. So you're working on that. Okay. And okay, so let me go ahead and get into the collaborations. And Joshua, are you currently in here in Canvas?
1 second, I'm going now.
All right, cool. So inside of Canvas, if you log into your Canvas, many of you have a tool called Collaborations. And I wanted to show this to you as a possible tool that you can use as a collaborative document. It actually works really nicely in conjunction with Zoom. And so you can have your Zoom session if you want to, and you can create this collaboration. You can also do this what's called asynchronously, which means that when you're not online, you can also be having your students perhaps collaborate on things through this collaborations tool. So this can be good for peer review. This can be good for a lot of different things where students might be working together on something. So I wanted to show this to you. People were pretty excited about it last time, so I was like, it's kind of fun. So let's see, and I've been using it. Yesterday I used it in a student session that we had because for all of you to know, if you have students who want to know about technology or they want to share about what's happening on the campus and things like that, and the chancellor's office is getting this information, which is pretty cool. So they're gathering and they're sourcing and things like that. So they can come to our 4 o'clock everyday session. And I'm going to show you a little bit later about the schedule if you don't already have it. I think you probably do because that's how you got here. But we do have that schedule available. So if you go into Joshua, are you in there now?
Yes.
Got it. Okay, cool. He's much better at technology than I am. Okay, so if we go in on the left-hand side, there should be collaborations. If it's not there, then it might be something that you have as your additional settings, so you can look in there as well. Okay, and later on, if you're taking the Canvas, you can ask the Canvas 101, you can ask that question. Okay, so you click on collaborations, and then it's going to take you into current collaborations. And so I have a few different ones. So yesterday I took some discussion, well, not in this one. This is from back in the day, okay, but in fall 2018 when Joshua and I were in the class together. So we're going to start a new collaboration because we don't want to use anything that has student information on it. Let me scroll up a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and document name. So we're going to, what should we call this, Joshua? Quarantine life?
Yes.
Okay. But let's call this instead, let's call it, so instead of quarantine life, let's say, what does discussion mean to you? Okay. And then you can do this with people or you can do this with groups, okay? And that was a question that came up last time. So if you have predetermined groups that you've already set up in Canvas, you can actually do this with a group. And I'm going to start collaborating, okay. Okay, so when Joshua goes into collaborations, he should see this. Okay.
Yep, I got it.
Okay, so it looks like Edith has a question. Edith, Nick, did you want to check on that one?
Oh, sorry, I typed it in the chat box. It was how do you form groups?
Oh, that's a separate thing. So in Canvas, we can talk about that. And actually, that's one of the things that I believe Kimberly and I, you know what, I will share that with you in just a little bit. So we'll do that part, okay? And I think Kimberly, you were gonna like look at some of that as well, right? Yep, Kimberly's got you. Okay. So the other thing that I can do is if you're not in the class, I can also share this with you. So I'm going to go ahead and put can edit, and I'm going to get the shareable link. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you. Anyone with the link can view. We don't want that. That's a terrible situation because you can just look at it and you can't do anything. That's a bad feeling. We've all been in, I don't know if any of you have been in that situation, but it happens sometimes, right? So I'm going to do anyone with the link can edit. Okay, but they have a lot of privacy settings, which is great. And then I'm going to copy this link. And then I'm going to make magic happen. Are you ready? Are you ready? Thumbs up. All right, Randy, you ready? All right, here we go. Okay. And now we are going to do something fun and chaotic. So what does a class discussion look like to you? Let's just make it simpler, okay? I've only had a little bit of coffee, so we'll see if this is a good question or not. Okay, so type away, click on the link and type away. You're all going to come in as anonymous, this and that. Okay, so everyone, if you can click on the link, and then that should bring up the document, and then you can type. Oh, I guess it would be helpful if I didn't just paste it into the waiting room. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Again.
We're waiting. It's okay.
A little bit of coffee.
Now
okay.
we see a link. Hooray.
And this is so fun because you get to be anonymous animals that you've never heard of. Okay. We have an anonymous platypus and a grizzly. How fun. Okay, so let's answer the question, right? So what is a class discussion? What components does it contain? Okay, so let's go ahead and answer that question. Oh, you're right. What components does it? Okay. How about this? What does it look like? My other question was much better last time. I should have copied and pasted it.
This is so cool to watch. I just have to have a moment where I say this is so cool to watch.
It is. It's really cool. And I did it with my students yesterday. And this was, okay, there were two things that I want to share with all of you. It looks scary because my English is so poor. Okay, that's a good point. But one of the things that I would suggest is that because it's anonymous right now, this is a space where you're an anonymous camel. So it's not you. So is there a way to think about it like I can actually type in this information, you know? Yeah, so I know you're playing a role. But when we're thinking about it, it's like, how do we perhaps, you know, kind of crowdsource that bravery, I guess, you know, in order to perhaps, you know, help people, because they can put things anonymously in here. They can choose to make themselves known as well. So they can put their, I love the Dumbo octopus. I mean, I'm learning about animals I've never heard of before. It's so cool. You know what? That's a good question. So someone asked, could Joshua create a new collaboration as a student? I believe you can. Joshua, can you check and see if you can? You're on mute, my darling. Let me unmute you. It's not letting me unmute you. Oh.
Yeah, you clicked too many times.
Okay.
For me, yeah, it also, when I go to the collaborations tab, it has the same notification or bar at the top that says start new collaboration. And then it works the same way as it did for you.
So you're able to start a new collaboration as well?
Yes. So students,
Okay.
so say if you have a group project in your class and they all need to work on the same document, the collaboration is there for students.
Okay, so the person who said, once I clicked on this, I couldn't see your screen share anymore, you need to minimize. So that's something to think about. And we are going to be very forgiving of any like typos, because that's going to just happen and it's okay. I do a lot of like no judgment, right? Like kind of writing things with students. Joshua knows this, like in the discussions and such, like I'm like, okay, try to do the best you can, but I'm not I know a lot of the students are doing this on their phones. So if you want to see everybody in the grid video, there are different options under the video. So you can click on the one that has all the little squares. So it's like the Brady Bunch. Okay. Kind of fun. Okay. So Joshua, did you all want Joshua to create one, or because you can't really see him doing it. So I don't know how useful that is. I don't know if that's the best use of time. But yes, students can create their own collaborations and we can pop in and all that kind of stuff. We have still the access to that. Okay. All right, I tried that. I can see the pictures, but not the screen share. So just do some hovering and you should be able to see that. So they're asking if you could share your screen, Joshua. Do you wanna do that? Sorry, I'm giving you a lot of work to do.
Oh, no, it's fine. Let me see if I can.
Let me stop my share.
Yeah, share screen. There we go. Share. Okay. Yeah. So it works exactly the same way. This is the collaborations tab in Canvas. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. As it's loading. So it looks exactly the same as yours. And then right here, start new collaboration. And then you can choose.
So it takes them directly to the document.
Exactly, yes.
So that's cool.
And then this is, of course, loading for the document.
So if you can go back then. Probably do have to enable collaborations under settings, yeah.
Yep, that was.
So you have to drag it up.
Yep. So, so Jay asked about not having the option for the collaboration, and I think Laurel's answering that question in the chat, which is to enable collaborations under settings.
Yep.
So it's created. Can you access this, Keelan?
Okay. And what's it called? It's called name?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So I can actually go in there, even though you didn't invite me to this, right, Joshua?
No, I did not.
Okay. So I can still see it. And I can also, but I do have to ask for permission to get in there. So that's kind of cool because I can ask for permission, but I can't directly go in there.
Yeah.
So he can invite whoever he wants, and then I can ask for permission. And he can either grant that permission or not grant that permission.
And funny enough, Caitlin joined.
So you can't just crash the party.
Caitlin's in here?
Yeah. Is what you're saying.
Can you invite me? I want to say hi to her. Why is she here? That's hilarious.
I added her, but just as an example, but you know.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Caitlin is also amazing. Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Sorry, we're having a moment. We're having a class reunion right now. No, it's still not letting me. Okay, because it has to be the class permission. Yes.
Christine has a question, and I've
yes.
Got it in chat too, but I don't have the question yet. Christine, did you want to share that out loud or share it with us typed in the chat, whichever your preference?
Can you post an image in the chat? Okay, inside of the Google document? Is that Jay? Okay,
That's Jay.
okay.
Yeah,
What is Christine's question?
she has not written it yet. We're waiting.
All right, so let's,
Laurel said you can attach files in the Zoom chat and you can insert
yes, so
image.
if you go insert, so let me share my screen again. Thank you so much, Joshua, you're the best. So grateful. Okay, so if we do the Zoom session later, you'll be able to see other things, but you can insert an image here. So if I go to my photos, or you can go to your drive, you can go to a URL, you can search the web. So let's look for something on the web. And Joshua, what should we look for?
A turtle.
That's weird. That's what I was thinking about. How did that happen? Okay, so we want to put a turtle in here. Okay. So it's misbehaving right now for some reason, but the turtle should be living in here now. Oh, somebody put a kitty. Why, thank you. Okay. So as we're thinking about class discussions, you know, all fun aside, right? What are the things that we're thinking about? So you said directed, a question or statement that gives a discussion a purpose. It's a conversation between all students in the class that may participate more than others, but it's important to keep the discussion open and focused. Then we have a cat, which has its own text in it, okay? Students come to class, they reorient themselves in the reading. Each student in the group writes a question about the reading. Students trade their questions with another group and then choose their favorite. They answer the question, they share out. Okay. So there are ways that you can create this think, pair, share. You can do some of this stuff in a, we have a breakout rooms inside of Zoom. So you can actually have students have a collaborative doc. I mean, this takes some moves. So you can decide like how you want to do that. And then also Kimberly's going to show like some grouping that can happen inside of Canvas itself. So these are some things, but you can also have them work on a document together, or you can have them share documents with each other. They can write it and then they can share it. I think Joshua's talking to Caitlin now. I'm pretty sure.
I am.
I have reunited the two of you. That's beautiful.
I have two quick questions if
Yes.
it's time for me to bring them forward.
Yep.
Okay, so my two quick questions are, a question from Tana, would students also show up as anonymous or will their names appear?
They will come up as anonymous and they get to choose whether they type their name next to it or not. So that's kind of cool, like for when somebody was bringing up like ESL or ELL learners, you know, I think it's kind of a cool thing that they can decide like their comfort level with sharing that, depending on what the assignment is or what the collaboration is. And I'm going to be doing, because I think there's an interest, you can type in this chat if you agree, but I think there's an interest in using Google as a tool, like some of the Google tools in the classroom as we continue to move forward. So Christine, in order to choose an animal to be shared in the Google Doc, you just search for photos. So we're choosing like a turtle or a cat, or I have been calming myself with Kitten Cam. Okay, but this is not in my account. Okay, let me see. So I have to go to insert, and then I'm going to do image, and I'm going to search the web. So you have a lot of different options here, or you could take a picture of yourself and put it in there, which would be kind of weird, but you could. And students might enjoy doing that kind of stuff too. And you can show them and you can like kind of experiment and play around with it too. I mean, how each student who typed had a different color and icon animal. Oh, you don't. It's completely random and weird. Okay, so these animals up here, these anonymous this and that, are just how you come up, so that it makes it more random. Okay. How do you assign students to small groups to do a collaboration? You have to do it inside of Canvas. So let's actually go into Canvas quickly. And then I'm just going to show you what the discussion board looks like. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. And then we're going to go into Canvas again, and I'm going to share it again just to make sure.
And Keelan, when you go in there, if possible, a question that I feel is associated with this is, once you're in Canvas, how would you make this into assignment that you can associate a grade with? So if that
Usually is going to be, I'll look into it more, but I think it's part of a, kind of like the discussion stuff. But that's a good, that is a really good question. It might take some outside grading thing, but let me look into it. And if you type your email in here, I think Nick is going to put a giant star next to this question, and we'll do some investigating. Okay, and we'll get back to you about that. Okay, or if anyone knows and can Google it right now, then you can let us know, which would be awesome too. Okay, so collaboration differs from a discussion because it's a collaborative document. So it's a document that folks share, and that's a little bit different than discussions in a way, because it's not a structured discussion board. So I don't know if anybody, I mean, I've been working with discussions since, did anybody ever do WebCT? I feel like a super elderly person. Okay, so WebCT was like kind of those first discussion boards, and you know, it's kind of like the next evolution of the chat, you know, from like 1990 whatever, you know. So we used to have WebCT, and we would do these kind of chats there. But I use discussions for a bunch of different purposes, and I use them for things like extra credit stuff. Joshua actually helped me create this assignment, which was Spoon's assignment that was about self-care. So we had like a self-care, how do you take care of yourself? But I wanted to show you a couple of them that I created that are like, these are text sets. So one way that I use the discussion, and I'm going to show you how to set it up, but I use it as a text set space where they can actually put in, they can read different articles, and it's much more intensive now because this was kind of like, this was in fall of not 90, oh my goodness, now I'm going back to the 90s again, 2018. But it's much, you know, it's much more developed now, but this was kind of an early one. So you look at some articles, and then you put them, some essays, and then you put them in combination with an article. And then they use an evidence interpretation note taker, which is a reading apprenticeship. And this is actually a really nice, somebody asked last time to see the evidence interpretation note taker. So I'll see if I can get that up. And then I just asked them to post 2 of their golden lines, so the strongest lines. And this helps them to be able to basically pull out some quotes that they might use. It's a way to kind of coach them into pulling out quotes and that relate to their assignment. So they'll already be starting to do that. So the evidence interpretation, can everybody see this document? Okay. So this is a chart, and basically you put the textual evidence and quotes, and then you analyze it. So you don't, and it has an example. So basically they, excuse me, they put their evidence, and then they do the analysis over here. So that's a helpful thing. Okay. All right. So that's what that is, in case anybody was interested in that. Okay. I also do like my early assignments, like you might even have students use this as a way to kind of, you know, reorient themselves. So I do a community building one, text sets. I have reading our world assignments where they do like sharing an artifact that they find, news, social media, an article, or a YouTube video. And in the Canvas session, you'll see like how to do all the cool stuff in here, like put pictures and all that good stuff, and podcasts and record and upload media and all that cool stuff that you can do. But again, you know, as we said at the beginning, you want to keep it as simple as possible, right? So the collaboration is something that perhaps you can't directly assign a grade to, but you could even put the collaboration, you could link it in here, and you could have them work on it, and then you could have that be part of, you know, kind of what did you come up with, okay? All right, so let me go ahead and create a discussion for you, and then we're gonna, I need to get you over to Kimberly. So I'm gonna go ahead and just show you briefly how to set up a discussion. So you type a title, and we can call this one Quarantine Life. Okay, Joshua? Okay.
Alrighty.
Thumbs up, okay. All right, so we've got Quarantine Life, and we're gonna put an image in here of some sort. So let's say, what kind of picture? You want a turtle now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, that didn't work as intended. Okay. Probably people feel like turtles when they're quarantined, right? I mean, it's like, yeah, for sure. All right, this may not want me to do it this way. Okay, update. All right, so Quarantine Life, I feel like a turtle that's inside of a shell. Okay, so then I put like my text down here about my instructions as you saw. Okay, and then you can decide like who you're posting it to. And then you can have an attachment if you want to put an attachment in there. Okay, so you can choose your file and you can put an attachment, like let's say that you wanted to put more specific instructions in here. You can allow threaded replies. You can also, some of you have asked if they can, because you want to kind of make sure that they're not just copying what other people are saying, you can say users must post before seeing replies. You can enable a podcast feed, so that's where there's an auditory piece, so that might be something that would be useful. I have never used this before, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't used this before, but I am intrigued. I'm gonna try it out, and this might be good for folks like who are mentioning special needs, ESL, students who may be wanting that multimedia piece, things like that. You can decide if it's graded or not, so if we grade it, and then you can allow liking, okay? And you can decide if only graders can like or sort by likes, things like that. Joshua, do you like this feature? Because I was asking Lizzie and Lizzie said that she did, but I'm not sure if you like the liking part.
I didn't really even know liking was a thing. Well, I knew it was a thing, but it wasn't very used.
Okay. Do you like the idea of it? Because I'm not sure about how I feel about that.
It's a good feature. It just depends on how interactive your class is with one another.
That's a good point. Your class was ridiculously quiet.
I wonder, Keelan, how an instructor might backwards design the idea of offering liking alongside building class norms. In the sense that like liking has potential to be useful, possibly, but it also has the potential to create a second space where folks aren't always thinking about class ecosystem.
Right. And so that's kind of my thing about it. But Christine mentioned that she likes her students' comments so they know that she read it. So I think that that's a really cool way to use it. I'm not sure that I'm really in favor. I've used it for a little while, and then I noticed like the first students would get a lot of likes, and the students that were doing it like at the last minute would get hardly any likes. And so it's kind of like who did stuff first, like how they get replies and such, right? You can decide if it's a group discussion, and you can select the category again, as we said before. And I think that we're going to be able to get to that part. Okay, so points possible, display grade. You can decide how you're going to display it as letter grade, percentage, complete, incomplete. You can put the assignment group that it's going to live in. Again, you'll get more Canvas things later. You can require peer review if you want to, and you can decide like how you're going to do those peer review groups. So this is a way to do peer reviews. We are going to be doing a peer feedback session tomorrow. So if you're interested, you can get more information about that. And then you can put in the due dates and choose those, and you can lock it. So you can say it's only available until this day, and then you're done, okay? And you can also assign it to certain students and not other students. And then you save and publish it, and it's there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kimberly. Kimberly, sorry, I went on a little too long.
Oh, not at all. I just have a little addition, in fact.
Okay.
So one way that I use groups, everything that Keelan has
Let
said.
me stop share. And then
Yeah, and then I'll kind of go into sharing on my own, is I use it within a group project. So let me share my screen. Let's see. Is it coming up here? So, oh, that's not the one I want to share yet. So you guys seeing, let me stop sharing. That's the one I'm going to show you, and try to share my other screen, which is my desk, this one. Okay, let's try this. I'm still getting that same one. Okay, let's, so I'm gonna close that window and I will try one last time, but basically I can talk to you while I do that. So I have a group assignment in my class where I set them up in the groups feature, and they have their own space for that. I think you guys can see this now. Can you see my Firefox screen?
yes, we can.
Yay! Okay, fine, great, okay. So this is, if you notice at the top here, it tells you, since this is a group discussion, each group has its own conversation for this topic. And so the motivation for this was I would put them in their own Canvas groups, which I can talk about in a moment, but I don't have access to those groups as the instructor. So I have no idea whether the students are actually doing the discussing. And through feedback, students were telling me no one was in there and they weren't discussing and they weren't getting going. So I decided to make it a more formal assignment that I put into a module, and I just have them come in and I can set it up in groups and I can give them due dates and I can actually grade it using speed grading. So like here, it's something simple. This is their first assignment. Introduce yourself to your group members. Paraphrase their understanding of the assignment, because it's an elaborate final project. They have to share 2 questions that they have about that. So I can kind of interface there and help clarify. And then when they reply, they have to reply to at least one of their classmates or group mates. They try to answer one or more of the questions, and they can also free flow there. But I do let them know that the interaction, please note, the interaction is limited to just your group members only. And I think a really important thing for me when I've done discussions is I have 2 due dates. I have an initial post due date, and then I have a reply due date. And that again has come through feedback of students saying, hey, you have this all due Sunday night, but nobody replies until Sunday afternoon, and I can't get my second post in to a classmate until Sunday night, and I want to get it done by Friday, right? So I just have like a regular habit in these discussions of making sure that the students are, and if the pattern's the same throughout the semester, they have a Thursday initial post due date and they have to reply to another classmate by Sunday night. And that seems to have solved the problem. So let me also show you kind of from the back end how this is set up. And please, if you have questions, let me know. So if you notice Keelan was showing you, I let them I don't really notice if they even do it. I don't see that they do it much, but here's the box I want to focus on. So you click this as a group discussion and it will have a drop-down menu. But if you notice, my drop-down menu is customized. I have different weeks where they have different things that they're going to be doing. Assignments and discussions could feed into this. So you have to, before this will populate for you, you've got to go to another window. So let me get out of this and set up your groups. So I'm going to go into people. Okay. And you're going to see that I have these tabs up here. Okay. And now let me stop sharing because I don't want these students' names up. So I'm going to share another screen with you. Hold on just a moment. This was the original screen that I took time to black out for, let's see, this one. All right, here we go. So this is that same screen with the students' names blacked out. Is everyone seeing this? So if you notice, you can set up your groups here by clicking this box of group set, it says. That's where I came to these names. I created my group set. Then you can either assign them automatically, like I want 4 groups of 5, and it will create your own. Or I always do mine manually. So then I click this button and I create group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and group 5. And then you literally just drag and drop the names into that area. Does that make sense to everybody?
And it can also do an auto assign. So you can do it that way as well. So if you want things to be random and you know, but
and
you know your
you can do a mashup of the two. So you can auto assign first and then look at what the auto assign is and like, oh wait, actually
tinker with that.
You can rearrange them before the assignment.
Yeah. And what I like to do is when I start my semester, I just get these tabs all set up in my course. And then after, you know, I get all my ads settled and everything, I create the groups, and they're the same groups for the 3 assignments, but they don't have to be. You can change them each time. You can take people out if they're like non-active. And so there's lots of ways you can manage that. But in order to set up a group discussion, you have to do this step first.
I love that psychogeographic walk. I want to take your class now.
Isn't that cool? And
I love it.
Nothing in my class has that exciting of a title. 0 things in my class have that exciting of a title.
We have fun with that one. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this screen. Are there any questions for me so far? Because I'm feeling like I'm just racing through this. And for someone who maybe hasn't even seen these screens before.
Well, we're going to do a little deeper dive. So that's the good thing. So Kimberly and I have already gotten really excited about, like, thank you. So if you have other things, like if you could type in the chat, if there are other things that you really want to see. Nick is going to be leading at 10:30 a gradebook session. And I have a sneaking suspicion that she might be able to show you how to see the grading for discussions.
I will. I also want to note that Edith has her hand raised.
Oh, yes, Edith, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a quick question in terms of, for instance, if I want group 1 to post something in their group discussion, and then I want group 2 to reply to group 1 what they've put, is that possible, or only groups can discuss and reply to one another?
That's a really good question. My experience has been those group pockets are different. They don't cross, you can't cross discuss, but maybe someone else has had a different experience.
Okay. Kimberly, my experience with groups is that Canvas, if you think about it visually, Canvas, if you make a group, Canvas like gives them their own hallway. Yeah. And so when students do anything in their group, they are pulled out of the central Canvas space into the separate group hallway that has its own announcements page, it has its own discussion forums, it has its own everything. And so the ability to cross hallways, if you will, I don't think is easily done or possible.
Yeah, and they have an entire like group space in Canvas that they can use. That literally looks like our Canvas shell for their group. The frustration I have about that is I explain to students I can't go in there, and then on my post-class surveys I get like, hey, you never went into our group to see who was actually participating. We as instructors, I think this is a flaw of Canvas actually, we can't go in even with an invitation to monitor what's going on in that space. It's just literally meant for the students to have a collaborative space of their own that's private.
Oh, under the collaborations or under?
No, under groups. So groups, yeah, when you create a group, so as a participant in training, I was part of a group, and I get an icon on my left navigation bar, my right navigation bar, that says groups. And I click on that and I enter a space that's just for my groups that has discussions. I can create assignments. I can have collaborative documents. But from our end as instructors, we don't even get that icon. Does that make sense?
That's interesting, because we actually can go in there to the groups.
Yeah.
So it might be a different system maybe.
I don't know, because I've even called Canvas over it and I cannot get in there. So maybe we should talk.
Can I put that as I'll put that as a question.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that.
Make sure that we respond to folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the group's space, Canvas space, so I'm not talking about discussion area. I'm just talking about the space they're given in Canvas.
Yeah, we can add ourselves to those groups. So there's a way to just put yourself as the person. But yeah, we'll look more into that and we'll give you more information, which would be great. Laurel Jean asks, one thing I kind of struggle with is discussion follow-up. Do we follow up on the discussion board? Yes. And that is one of the things that Kimberly and I are excited to go a little deeper with you all, because this is an overview one. But we're going to go a little deeper into how do you deepen those discussions and support the students through that process, because there are strategies. So, and some people are asking, like, how many posts should students do, especially if we're online? Like, how do we deepen those discussions? And so we'll be talking a little more about that. Should we record a video following up? You definitely can. Should we just grade it and leave it behind? No, because, you know, it's a discussion. So it's important that you keep going with that.
Hey, Keelan.
Yes.
You're at this wonderful moment where you're talking about next steps and opportunities folks have to go deeper and learn more.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great moment for us, for me
It
to
is.
share a couple things in
I know.
our chat.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm gonna link 3 things to you folks in the chat. The first thing I'm gonna link to you is the link to our 3CSN site. Well, I was going to do it, but for whatever reason, that's not what's pasting in here. So one quick second and we'll try it again. I wanna link that 3CSN.org link to you.
And
so
right now I am sharing
there it is.
that. Yeah.
And so if you want to join us and learn more with us in another session, boy, we would love to have you. And this is how you find out what we're up to.
And we will be updating this frequently. So we have the weekly schedule. We have a little more on here than that, but weekly we're updating it. So make sure that you check the links at the time, because, you know, every now and then that link might change. So don't save it in your appointment book ahead of time. But today at 10:30, we're having Canvas Gradebook with Nicole. I feel like a radio announcer. And then at 11:30, we're having Canvas 101 with Josh, who is like a pro at this. So that's super cool. And then at 12 o'clock, we're having a brown bag hour with me, where we will be doing some reading together and some guided writing and thinking about, and the reading will be about being instructors in this time, being educators in this time. So I would love to have you there. Joshua, if you want to join us, that would be awesome. Then at 1 o'clock, we're having Zoom 101. And then at 2:30, for those of you who are talking about ESL, ELL, EFL, we are going to be having a thought partner hour. And we, as a response to folks saying things like, you know, I really need more support in this area, this is an opportunity to think through some strategies and ideas in a much smaller group. So this is actually a real discussion. Okay, so right now we're kind of, you know, providing a space, but there's a lot of demo and things like that involved in this one. But in that one, you'll really be talking. You can communicate and share what you're doing, and you can. Excuse me. Yesterday we had one for student services, and a lot of folks were there. There were like 25 people in this room, and they were just coming up with ideas. They're like, what's happening on your campus? What's happening on your campus? And looking at different ways that they're responding to students. So these are really cool. And then at 4 o'clock, we have a drop-in hour every day at 4. Also every day at noon, we have that brown bag hour of some sort. So we're going to be doing on Friday, we'll have mindfulness, things like that. So just keep checking the schedule, and we have a mindfulness moment at the end, because I don't know about you, but I am having trouble like breathing deeply right now in this time. I'm doing very shallow breathing. So it was actually really helpful. It reminds me that I need to breathe, which is great. Okay.
So, Keelan, 2 last shout outs that are in the chat. I had to repaste the links because it doesn't want to give me spaces in between. And so a couple of those URLs crawled all up on each other for a second.
Okay.
But I think it's cleaner now. So Keelan's been showing you the 3CSN.org site, which is where you can link to all of our webinars and opportunities to learn together. The second link is to our Padlet site, which is a fantastic cache of resources that is crowdsourced, like we've been adding to it, all of you and our partners at all the community colleges have been adding to it as well. And so that's interactive whenever you get there. It's full of resources to use whenever you happen to be available and it works for you to go there. And please add to it if you've got great ideas to share. And then, so Laurel's question was, can any teacher join 3CSN? Laurel, you are already part of 3CSN.
Yeah, come to our events.
Hello.
Come participate.
Yep.
Salam Baba. Just a second. Okay. Salam Baba.
And
Well, just listening to.
and the last link that that we've got on here is the one to the student site. So if you've got students that would, and I think everyone does, have students that would really benefit from some opportunities to be in connection with other students and learn with other students, as Joshua was sharing with us today. It's so moving to be able to work directly with our students during this time and for students to work with each other. That's that student site that Moore Park College has put up, and it has lots of resources and virtual community opportunities for students with students.
Well, thank you so much. Again, I'm showing you right now the Padlet. So we have accessibility, we have a lot of Canvas stuff, we have ELL stuff, we have equity, a lot of online teaching resources of various kinds. So chat room and how to make a Google Doc, and this California Department of Education resources. So whenever we see something that looks good, we put it up here. Anything that looks useful. Online tools for engagement. So we are going to, on Monday, we'll be talking about using things like GroupMe and WhatsApp in order to communicate with students. So those are things that we'll be doing. Student resources, teaching in the context of social distancing. So some reminders and resources. These are crowdsourced. They're so good. There's like, you could spend 2 days inside of these documents. Web conferencing, a guide for that Zoom Circulink that you all have, that's fantastic, that I'm so jealous of. And then web conferencing and online learning assistance and such. So also, if you have another idea, because some of these have been added because you all have said, this is something that we need help with. Okay, so again, the Padlet is linked there. So please take that down, like click these links. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to say to you is in the chat box here, you see the 2, and then you have a file. There should be like a little place that says file, and then there are 3 dots next to it. Do you see that? Okay, so you click on that, and then you click on Save Chat. And that way you have all the links and everything for yourself. That's going to download to your computer. You need to know where your download is occurring so that you can find it. And then you can maybe choose the option. Some of you have that option that says like choose to put it in this folder, whatever it's going to be. Okay, or open when it's available. And you're going to save that, and then you need to open it in Notepad or one of those, because it's going to come up as like a little transcript. And that way you have this chat right now, because it does take a little while in order to do just a few quick edits on this, in quotes quick, but anybody who's uploaded to YouTube knows how that goes. So quick edit is not a quick edit. So we're working on that. We're getting it together. It takes about a day for these videos to be up, and then we have to put things together. So, but we will be communicating with you. We would love to see you for the rest of the day, if you'd like, for the rest of the week. We will be here continuing on. Again, we said we're academic, first responders. You all, as our wonderful colleague Lilith said, that the healthcare professionals are on the front lines, but we are the ones who support and train them. And so that's a big job that you all are doing. And then we have Joshua, who truly is on the front lines. Our students are it's a collaborative process, and we're all figuring this out. And the term wayfinding really means like we're finding our way. So we are extremely grateful for all of you. Have a wonderful little break, hopefully, before you go to our next session. Spend the day with us. It's like going to a conference, okay, that keeps going on. Okay, take good care, and we'll see you shortly. Bye-bye.